Hello everyone, welcome. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to another lesson in our ongoing French course. In this lesson, we're going to look at a special verb, the verb nettoyer. Nettoyer is special because it belongs to a special category of spelling change verbs. I'll show you some of the other spelling change verbs that are like nettoyer towards the end of the lesson. So what does nettoyer mean? Nettoyer means to clean, but it means generally to clean a specific object, a specific surface, or a specific area. If you were to ask me, how do you say to clean in French? I would say, well, it depends. There are actually two expressions, of course, the verb nettoyer, and there's also the expression faire le ménage. Faire le ménage means to clean in a general sense, like doing all of the different aspects of cleaning your household. So for example, if you say in French, je vais faire le ménage, that would mean you are going to do the cleaning. In other words, you're going to wash the dishes, sweep, vacuum, all of the different things that you do to clean your house. If you say je vais nettoyer, it implies that you're going to focus on a specific object or area, part of your house or surface, something like that. So in this lesson, we are going to focus on nettoyer, and remember, it's probably better to think of it as to clean something. The something is implied. Just a little bit about the history of nettoyer. Nettoyer comes from the Latin word nitidus, which means shining, bright, or gleaming. So the verb nettoyer evolved from the Latin word nitidus. So let's go through the process of the conjugation. So it uses the regular ER verb endings in the present tense. So let's watch the magic happen here as we look at the different forms of the verb. So remember, the first thing to do always is to remove the ER if you want to begin the conjugation process. You find your root or your stem, here it is. And I'm going to add the ending here, but notice how the spelling will change as I add the correct ending. So je nettoie. Je nettoie. I clean. Tu, we start with our root, and we add the ending, and of course the spelling will change. Tu nettoies. You clean. Tu nettoies. Il, elle, or on. We have our root, and then we add the ending. Nettoie. Il nettoie. He cleans. Elle nettoie. On nettoie. One cleans. Nous, we have our root, and then we add our ending. Notice there is no spelling change for the nous form as well as the vous form. So nous nettoyons, vous nettoyez, and then il and elle will also have the spelling change. So here's our root, and we add the ending, nettoie. So we have je nettoie, I clean. Tu nettoies, you clean. Il nettoie, he cleans. Elle nettoie, she cleans. On nettoie, one cleans. Nous nettoyons, we clean. Vous nettoyez, you clean. And then il, elle nettoie, they clean. So pay close attention to that spelling. This is a similar pattern which you'll see in other verbs that are like nettoyer. The Y changes to an I in all of the forms except for the nous and the vous. And this is unlike the other verbs where you have a choice of the Y or the I. This one has to be I in all of these forms. So there it is. Now you know how to conjugate the verb nettoyer in the present tense. Now the exciting part, to use it, to actually be able to use it in a sentence. So once you know how to do that, then you can say fun and exciting things like I clean or I am cleaning. Remember, this is just the present tense form. Je nettoie. Je nettoie. And again, remember, using nettoyer implies that you clean an object or a specific area or surface. So let's say I want to say in French, I clean my shoes. I clean my shoes. So we start off with, of course, the right verb form. Je nettoie. I clean. Shoes, remember, shoes are chaussures. And my is mes, the plural form of the possessive. So, je nettoie mes chaussures. Je nettoie mes chaussures. Okay, so here's a fun and challenging one for you. How would you say in French, I clean the sink? I clean the sink. So remember, I clean, very simple, just the verb in the present tense, je nettoie, je nettoie. And sink, le lavabo, le lavabo. So, je nettoie le lavabo. Je nettoie le lavabo. So I'm sure some of you that already know some French are saying, wait a minute, isn't there a different word for sink? And I would say yes. The word lavabo is really more of a bathroom sink or a small wash basin. Lavabo is a sink more or less for your personal hygiene, for cleaning up, washing up. The other word for sink, it would be a sink like the kitchen sink for doing the cooking and washing of food, and that would be l'évier, l'évier. So l'évier would be the kitchen sink. So I clean the sink, je nettoie l'évier. So in the case of sink, it would be better to be more specific. I clean the bathroom sink, je nettoie le lavabo. I clean the kitchen sink, je nettoie l'évier. Okay, so let's try another example here. If I want to say he cleans the windows, and I'm being very specific, I'm talking about the word for window panes in French. If I want to say he cleans the windows, of course, you would say il nettoie, he cleans, and then the window panes would be les vitres, les vitres. The other word, fenêtre, is just for the window in general, the whole window, but if you want to say you're cleaning the windows, meaning the window panes, you would use the word vitre. Il nettoie les vitres, les vitres. One more question. When do you clean the table? And use tu instead of vous. So when do you clean the table? Okay, so we'll start off with the interrogative, the question word when, quand, quand. And for the next part, we'll do inversion here. So when do you clean? Using tu. Quand nettoies-tu? And finally, the word for table, la table. So you have a very nice question here. Quand nettoies-tu la table? Quand nettoies-tu la table? When do you clean the table? So other verbs that are like nettoyer, that have this y changing to I in all of the forms except the nu or the vous, are the verbs ennuyer, to bore or to bother, the verb appuyer, to press, employer, to employ or to use, and envoyer, to send. So all of these verbs belong to the same category. Remember, y changes to I in all of the forms except for the nu or the vous when you conjugate it in the present tense. Okay, well, that's it for this lesson. Thanks so much for watching. If you found it helpful, I would appreciate it very much if you'd give it a like. Subscribers, as always, thank you so much for your support. To go on to another lesson, click on the video that appears here on your screen. See you soon. À bientôt.